SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
For year-round comfort you can count on, call Max Heating and Air. Serving the Pine Belt and surrounding areas, they handle heating, cooling, spray foam insulation, duct cleaning, and more. Quality service, trusted experts. Call Max Heating and Air at 601-649-4087.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C Spire. Power your home or business with C Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C Spire. C Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to MidDays, SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm your host, Gerard Gibert, along with Rhino in the Element Wealth Studio, guiding you through the middle of your day with facts, fodder, and fine music on this Friday Eve. I'm surprised you're not adorning some sort of celebratory attire today, man. What about it?
The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Oh, man, that was exhilarating. That was infuriating. That was overwhelming at times. And I might have drank a little too much. I'm feeling it this morning.
I love it. Well, you're entitled to it because the American soccer team prevailed last evening. And so I share with the folks the stats. The last time they were in an elimination match, how many years ago? Only happened one time, right? This is number 2.
Yeah, the U.S. men's national team has only ever won one other knockout round match, and that was way back in 2002 against Mexico. And oddly enough, it was the same scoreline, 2-0. So this was our second knockout round match in history, second with a 2-0 score, and we're moving on to the round of 16 Monday night against Belgium.
Right. They took down, of course, Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's pretty cool. And without a player, right, for part of the game.
Yeah, that was the infuriating part, is because Flo Balogun, our star striker with 3 goals, who is also breaking records because we haven't had somebody score 3 goals in a tournament since 1930. We haven't scored this many goals in a tournament as a team ever. But he got sent off with a red card in like the 65th minute. After VAR called down to the ref and said, hey, go look at it, and he looked at it in slow-mo, and yeah, in slow-mo it looks bad, but if you talk to anybody with half a brain, that's not a red card. It's a yellow card. He fouled him, but it's not a red card. It never should have been a red card, but once the ref goes to the monitor, they're watching it in slow-mo, and they're going to see it, and it's going to look awful, and he's going to give the red. So Balogun's out for the next match. It's a bit of a blow, but I have to give a lot of kudos to Mauricio Pochettino and the way he's coached this U.S. men's national team, because the second that red card was announced, you could see the maturity and the professionalism in the players on the pitch. They didn't freak out. They didn't lose their minds. They didn't start screaming at the ref. They were stone-cold killers, just stone-faced. Gave their props to Balogun, telling him we got your back. As he walks off the pitch, they're reorganizing and setting up to play 10 on 11, and they had to bunker down and play defense in a match where they were on the front foot, where they were playing offense and controlling the ball for most of the match leading up to that. But that level of maturity and professionalism to see out the game and then to get the foul right outside the box later in the match and have Malik Tillman, the son of a service member, step up with a bloody foot. He had to replace his cleat on his right foot at halftime because he got stomped on. But no, that wasn't a foul, Mr. Brazilian ref.
And as you know, it sparked quite the conversation worldwide. I mean, that's the thing about this particular sport. You have to recognize we all in this country, we watch a football game and we see a bad subjective call, and it's the subject of discussion in the country. But this is getting attention across the globe because it's the World Cup, and they're all discussing this.
And I got to go back to Malik Tillman. He scored a free kick goal in the World Cup for the USA. That's like spotting a unicorn. That's only ever happened once before, too. And that was way back in '94. That was Eric Winalda. So we've now got 2 free kick goals at the World Cup, 2 knockout round wins at the World Cup. Both of the knockout rounds were 2-0. So I'm feeling good. I'm just a little exhausted, and I'm not yet antsy for Monday. I'm sure that'll come over the weekend because Belgium is a good team. They're ranked 9th in the world in the FIFA rankings. I don't put that much stock in the FIFA rankings because they're pretty heavily weighted towards European teams, and then secondly to South American teams. The ranking formula tends to play favorites with them. So Belgium's a little higher ranked than they probably should be. Saying that, America's probably ranked a little lower than they should be. So it could very well be a very good match. The matchup's not quite as good because Belgium's a team a lot like the U.S. They like to play on the front foot. They like to have possession. They like to go forward with offense. So it could be a wild match on Monday. Even without Flo Balogun, that professionalism I was talking about, that maturity, I think that's going to manifest in the next man up. Go out there and be the next man up and do your job and move on.
No doubt. I watched some of it. Gritty team, no doubt about it. It feels a little different than past teams to me in that respect.
Oh, yeah. I feel like, and this is nothing against the former players, a lot of them played with a lot of heart and a lot of talent and a lot of skill, but as a team playing together like a found family, this team is playing with so much more than we've ever seen.
That's what I observed as well. But man, I'm proud of the American team. It's especially cool given the fact that the World Cup's being played in this country.
And did you see the scenes at the Freedom 250 State Fair? Thousands of people in the National Mall watching it on a big screen, losing their minds.
That's cool. Love it. And not destroying stuff, just celebrating, right? Which is really even better. Well, so 16 remain. How many did we start with?
48.
Okay. So down to 16.
Well, not quite down to 16. I mean, we still got more
matches
to fill out the rest of the round of 16. But, yeah, that'll be kicking off this weekend. That'll start the round of 16, and our matchup will be Monday at 7.
It's kind of intriguing to me, you know, all the various news sources that I track, mainly business and technology, healthcare, and so forth. But this is getting headlines in all of those sources. It's kind of cool. When you see the Wall Street Journal write about this, Reuters, not something you'd expect, but it's a big deal.
Well, and this is not a knock on American casual soccer fans. American fans in general, unless it's a sport that you are fanatically attached to, unless it's a sport you grew up playing, like baseball or football or basketball, and in some cases hockey, unless it's a sport you have a history with, American fans tend to take a week or two to really buy into hype, to get behind a team, and to really give the U.S. team that 12th man, that extra push. You've seen it in the Olympics with U.S. hockey, and that's what I'm pointing to at the Olympics, is because the Olympics are condensed down to just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And by the time the Olympics start wrapping up, that's about the time the casual fan gets really attached. Well, now the World Cup's been going on for several weeks, and the U.S. fans are catching up. The casual fans are buying in. The hype is getting bigger. The groundswell is growing. And I haven't seen any of the ratings for last night. I expect the ratings to blow out all the records. and to compete with some of the top sporting events that we've had broadcast in this country other than the Super Bowl, because you're not really ever going to catch up to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that just means Monday night, another primetime knockout round matchup could be even bigger.
Yeah, and it's a little unfair to compare to the Super Bowl. There ain't but one of them, right? So we're still progressing through the tournament here.
And speaking of the business and the economic aspect and all that kind of stuff, ABC put out during the group stage, so it's not even including the knockout rounds, during the group stage, the economic impact of the World Cup in the U.S. is equivalent to 7 Super Bowls.
Seen that too. That's fabulous. Love it.
I mean, over 5 million people have attended World Cup matches this time.
Spending money on entertainment. That's awesome. Love it. And, of course, we called it, though, didn't we? We said it's our destiny because it is Independence Day week, the 250th Independence Day, the 250th birthday of this great country and the American team prevailing in the World Cup. It's destiny, man. I'm all about it. Excellent analysis and a recap for us there, Rhino. Appreciate that. Kicking off the show. We got Lynn Posey, Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks at 10:35. Captain Chris Turnipseed in the studio today at 11:05. Stay with us. We're just getting started on Middays from the Element Wealth Studio.
Want to learn to...
Middays with Gerard.
Good for America. Good for fans of justice and truth. Good for us.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
This is what we stand for.
Okay, so the Social Security Administration, they're getting in on the celebration. July 4th, the 250th birthday of America. They announced today a first-of-its-kind commemorative Social Security card for children born in the United States between July 2nd and December 31st of this year. I'm looking at it here. The limited edition cards, they're just a standard card and provide the same functionality, but they do have a little logo, if you will, in the middle right of the card. If you're familiar with your card, folks, you got Social Security kind of curved in a crescent shape at the top, big block letters, blue background, pillars on the side. You got the kind of blank whiter area in the center. It's got your card number, your name. Well, just above that, over to the right, Freedom 250 for children born. That's pretty cool. Children born between now and the end of the year. So Social Security getting out on the act there. And don't forget that the Trump accounts, they go into effect as well. Those were part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So don't forget about the Trump accounts. Folks are already signing up. Remember, you could sign up, but did not become effective until now. That's the way the program was designed. So that's pretty cool. Trump accounts, and people like what they see there. If the child is born, let's see, I think it went into effect January 1, 2025. If they're born between 1/25, January 1, and 12/31/28, the government will give you $1,000, and then you can contribute to those accounts as well. And there's some limits on how they can be invested and when money can be withdrawn and for what purpose, with or without the penalties. But the bottom line is, it's an account that is designed to allow children born during that time period to build some wealth. It's really what it's about. I think it's a good idea. I like it.
And don't forget, if you've got a kid that's under the age of 10, I'm fairly certain every single county qualifies for the Dell Trump account.
That's right. Remember,
you get an extra, what is it, $250? Or
you Michael
get $250
Dell.
For Michael Dell's trust fund.
Yeah, that's right. He came forward, had a big announcement. It was at the White House when he was talking about that. And so that's specifically for those children in that age group to kind of
because you can start a Trump account for those children, they just won't have the $1,000 from the government.
That's right. Only comes to those who were born during that time period. You could still create an account. You could sign up for that. So the Trump accounts are here. These are IRA-style investment vehicles for children, if you will. And I think it kicks in, if I'm not mistaken, July 4th. So you could sign up, you could go online and sign up, but I think officially when you can start dumping money into the accounts, and then the federal government giving babies born again from January 1, 25 through the end of 28, the $1,000 seed amount. Philanthropists, as you've said, such as Michael Dell, kicking in as well. Employers can also contribute. I think it's a $5,000 maximum per year. Employers can contribute. Some have already said, you've seen employers across the country announce that, yeah, any children born to our employees, we're going to kick in some money to those accounts. So this is great. Pretty much you can invest in a SPDR account, SPDR, or from the Standard & Poor's S&P 500 or an S&P 500 ETF. The State Street SPDR account, it's just a portfolio, honestly, of stocks. Fairly low risk. That's how it's intended to operate. And kind of a combination of value and growth stocks. And it's in a fund that tracks the S&P 500. So this is good stuff. All going into effect immediately. So it turns out, I just see this. 6 million accounts have been registered. Wow. 1.5 million eligible for the $1,000 government seed amount. 23 governors have pledged to work toward opening accounts on behalf of foster kids. I remember us talking about that, some move in that direction. So, and then many, many companies, as we said earlier, have announced that they will also contribute on behalf of their employees when children are born, or even children that are eligible. Some have agreed to do that as well for their employees. But wait, I thought employers were just mean, wicked, evil, exploited their workers and all that sort of stuff, right? So, no, this is pretty good. I like it. That's just kind of some of the stuff that's going into effect as we enter what is the new fiscal year for the state of Mississippi. We did a rundown of the various laws going into effect yesterday, July 1st. And, of course, I got to do a quick little review of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We really dodged a bullet there that I don't think we'll ever understand how critical it was that the president won in 24, Republicans took control of the House and Senate and were able to push through the reconciliation process, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The main provision of that was the continuation of the Trump tax cuts passed in 2017 because, folks, had the Democrats prevailed, they wanted to let those tax cuts expire. Now, what they said was, no, we're going to let them expire on the higher incomes, but we're going to keep them in place for the lower. But I don't believe it for a minute, personally. But the good news is that those provisions were extended. So for many people, nothing new, but there were new provisions added, such as the deductibility of tips and overtime for tax purposes at the federal level, an increase in the standard deduction for seniors, an increase in a return of the full expensing, which, by the way, is driving lots of corporate investment, CapEx. And I know it takes a little second-order thinking, but when corporations go spend a lot of money on plant and equipment and computers and the like, guess what? that drives lots of revenue towards all the companies that make that stuff who hire all the people to do that. I know it's a little second-order thinking the Democrats don't seem to get. Oh, we're giving all the tax breaks to corporations. Right. And they're spending money with other companies, including lots of small and mid-sized businesses who profit greatly from their spending. The tax provisions save the average family between $1,500 and $2,000 a year in income taxes. Don't forget the bill also opened up federal lands and waters to oil, gas, coal, and mineral leasing. And by the way, the price of oil down below $70 today, Rhino. So we're getting close to where it was before the war. And for small business owners, I can't emphasize this enough. It extends the 20% reduction for small businesses. That's 20% of your income generated from an LLC, a sub-S, is included and was extended. That was in place. The Democrats wanted to allow that to expire. That would have been devastating to America's small business, no doubt. It also canceled the old Biden student loan bailouts, expanded health savings accounts, which is a good thing. It ended all the stupid Biden EV mandates, and it saves billions of dollars in all these goofy Green New Deal mandates. Ended Medicaid for certain classes of legal immigrants, and it punishes states with reduced federal match when they cover illegals in their program. So all this went into effect, and it's still trucking. And I think you see the manifestation of those provisions in our economy. We got the jobs report this morning. It came in a little lighter than expected, but as we can always count on, we're going to have some revisions later on. But the markets actually like it because it kind of signals to the Fed, hey, maybe you can cut interest rates here. Gives them a little cover for that because Kevin Warsh, the new Fed chairman, he didn't seem too interested in the dot plots produced by the other governors on the Federal Reserve Board. It didn't look like we were going to see any kind of interest rate reductions this year, the benchmark rate. So all this is good economic news. By the way, there's still a ton of job openings, even though our jobs report came in low. What's amazing is we still have a bunch of job openings. You know what that says? The folks that aren't working don't have the skills needed. That's what we got to fix. Coming right back with Lynn Posey, Executive Director, Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks.
From the Seabrook, Gerard Gibert. He keeps his classified documents right where they belong. Inside a Journey record jacket from the 1980s. Gerard Gibert, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Wealth Studio. We're pleased to welcome now Lynn Posey. He's the Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. Mr. Director, good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Gerard. It's quite a weekend we're getting ready to have here. America 250, 250th anniversary of this nation. Lucky to be here and lucky to have such a great nation. And I want to take a few minutes to talk to you visitors about some of the things we were doing at the parks, if could.
Yeah, please.
We got quite a bit going on in our parks. First thing I want to say is we need to thank the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker, and the members of the legislature for providing some funds over the last few years. And we've taken those funds, been able to get some matching money to go with it, and we're working our way through renovating our entire park system, and I think about one more year, and we've already discussed with the legislature about some additional money for a few more parks we need to finish up. But this weekend we're talking about just celebrating some of the parks we have redone and having some celebrations in those parks, and I just wanted to let the listening audience kind of know what was going on in those parks.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. And you and I were talking offline. We're so blessed that they're kind of a hidden asset, and that's intentionally because you want them to be sort of off the beaten path, if you will. But if you just kind of travel into those parks, and I have most of them, we're blessed. They're gorgeous.
There's some hidden gems out there, and like I say, we're working our way. They'd gotten in pretty bad shape, but we're working our way through them, renovating them, and we renovate one of them. We try to do it top to bottom infrastructure. So I think the folks from Mississippi, as they start to see these parks, they're going to be real impressed with what we've been able to do. And I think they're really, really proud of the Mississippi State Parks. I think folks will start to notice that pretty quick. But this coming weekend, it's a big celebration, of course, all over the nation. But here in Mississippi and in some of our state parks, we're excited to celebrate American 250 and the 4th of July. But in particular, we're going to have big events in 7 of our parks. We're going to have the event in Buccaneer State Park at Waveland, Roosevelt State Park at Morton, Paul B. Johnson at Hattiesburg, Percy Quinn in Macomb, Quitman at the Clarko State Park, Trey State Park in Bolden, which that's going to be close to the Tupelo area, and Clarko's, I mentioned earlier, is near the Meridian area, and finally John Kyle at Sardis. And each park will be having big events, anything from fishing rodeos to concerts to fireworks. I think all of them will have the fireworks, so we're excited to invite folks out to come see their state parks.
It's a great idea. I didn't know about it until I saw you coming in on the lineup. I'm so glad you were able to come in and tell the folks across Mississippi about this, Lynn. It's that's big time. And something else to point out is so many of these parks have absolutely phenomenal lakes on the parks.
They do.
It's incredible.
And they're managed great by our biologists there at the park, and good fishing lakes. Some of them allow skiing, and they're just beautiful lakes. And just we've put some new amenities like tiny homes around the edges of the lakes.
Seen that, yeah.
Folks are just really enjoying coming out and staying at the park and looking at the water and using it however they choose to.
Yeah. And so, is there any cost for anything, Lynn? Where do folks need to think about that?
Really, the cost is just if you're coming in to stay. Obviously, you're gonna rent a room, or rent a cabin, or park your RV. I think there's a small charge, maybe a $5 or something, to get into some of the events each day. But really, it's mostly the major charge would be if you're going to spend a night there, that sort of thing.
I got you. So if you just want to come and launch your boat on the ramp, no charge for that, right?
Well, yeah. It's just the normal charges would apply.
Okay.
And there's a normal charge to
I got you.
Launch the boat,
that
sort of thing. But
the
minimum,
sense.
We tried to make sure, even with the redoing, we tried to hold our prices, to where, we want like to think, we want the average Mississippi person to be able to afford to go to their park.
Yeah. Well, how are we doing? Because I know a couple of years ago the legislature was talking about some improvements and renovations that we needed, and we're looking at some funding there. How are we doing there, Lee?
We've done real well. The legislature's been really kind to the department, and like I mentioned earlier, we've got some matching money there, and we're working our way through the system. But there's several of them, like Buccaneer is just a tremendous park to go to. Roosevelt's been completely rebuilt, pretty much over at Martin. Paul B, we just finally finished and got it opened back up. There'll be a big celebration down there, as I mentioned, this weekend. Percy Quinn has always been a historical park. Historically, it's been well used, and it's been rebuilt. We got a little more work to do there, but having a big celebration there, as I mentioned. And but yeah, we're working our way through, and I've got about 4 more parks really want to hit hard this coming legislative session if they're able to give us the money for it. And I think that'll put us about 90% through. And we're working the entire system when we get those 4 parks included. But, we've gone out and done small things like, roads and bathhouses and things like that in a lot of these parks, and we'll continue to work on that this summer with the money we got.
Okay. Well, that's all good stuff. How do we do, Lynn, relative to the other states? Is that something you guys ever look at? You talk to your peers, for example, your counterparts in the other state? We
do. We're catching up. We had got way behind, but we're catching up, primarily because we've recently got the money to do it. A lot of states have dedicated funding for the departments, which would include the parks, and then some states have parks that are not associated with the wildlife agency, so they're funded in different ways. But we're catching up, and I think when we finish this thing, we'll have a park system that will be as good as any of them in the nation.
Yeah. Well, we're blessed with beautiful landscape, as you know, in the state of Mississippi. And certainly folks need to get out and enjoy. I mean, I certainly have, and have been to all the corners, and it's incredible. You and I were talking, when you go up in the northeast part of the state, those couple of parks up there, you don't even think you're in Mississippi, honestly. It's incredible, the landscape up there and the beautiful lake.
Now, I would encourage folks who are thinking about taking a vacation elsewhere if you hadn't had a chance to go and stay in some of these states parks, I would encourage you to go do so. If you can't make it out to the events this weekend, we're open year-round, and we'd love to have you come see what we've done, and I think you'll appreciate the fact that these are Mississippi parks, and they look as good as they do, and we're glad to have you there, and I think you'll be proud of it.
And you got a great staff working for you too, don't you, Lynn?
We do. We've got some really good people at the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, not only just in parks, but our law enforcement who will be out in force, around the events we're having, and they help us keep folks safe, and that's what we want them to do. And of course, we have our museum staff and our biologists, and so I try to work hand in hand with 6 bureaus there. So each bureau plays a part.
So when I was in school a long time ago, we always had a field trip where we'd visit one of the parks that wasn't too far away. Do they still do that?
A lot of field trips come. A lot of folks bring their children, the school children, into the museum. More so than the parks now, because they can museum is somewhat of a park itself. A lot of outside area there, and we try to hold events in the parks for the children to expose them to fishing and just outdoor in general. Yeah.
Well, and the museum is incredibly educational as well.
Absolutely.
And stuff you learn about wildlife and the outdoors just walking through that museum. It's well curated. Yeah. That's downtown Jackson, right?
Yeah, out at LaFleur's Bluff.
Yeah. I said LaFleur's Bluff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, which is just beyond downtown Jackson.
Right off Lakeland.
That's right. I forgot that it had been relocated. I hadn't been there in a while, but when I was a kid, as I recall, it was right across from the fairgrounds there back in those days.
Beautiful park there too.
LaFleur's Bluff.
And it fills up with children. You're talking about getting the children in the outdoors. If you want a place to take a child in Jackson area, try LaFleur's Bluff State Park there with the playground.
It's awesome, and you got some funding coming in to make some improvements there.
We do.
And the legislature just signed off on that this past year, right?
They gave us a little bit this year and promised us more next year. Okay. So we're looking forward to continuing the work they're telling us to do.
Anything else you're working on with the legislature, Lynn?
We're always working on something.
I know you are.
But it's usually the money that we're working on. So.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. But they've been good to us, and we thank them for what they're doing, because we're doing work we feel like the people of the state of Mississippi want it done, and we're trying to do a good job for them.
Yeah, you got folks on both the House and Senate side that are good advocates for you, don't they?
They are. It's just so many folks in the legislature and the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker as well. But they're not only they're outdoor people themselves.
Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
They want it. They want it done, and we're trying to get it done.
Well, it's a major tourist attraction for our state as well, right? Generates income.
Brings a lot of money. Makes a lot of these parks and our WMAs and state lakes. They bring a lot of tourism in and generates a lot of money for local communities as well as some for the state.
No doubt. Appreciate you coming in, Lynn.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot.
Yes,
Lynn
sir.
Posey, Executive Director, Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, has been our guest. The big America 250 Bashes, 7 Mississippi state parks will be holding those this weekend. It's July 4th, folks. Get on out and enjoy it at a Mississippi State Park. Appreciate it, Lynn. Coming right back.
Yes, sir. Good time. I don't want to stop at
Hey, y'all.
We interrupt this program.
Gerard Gibert.
Here we go.
This is huge news. Huge news.
Huge news.
You need to listen to this.
Middays with Gerard. SuperTalk Mississippi.
We're back with you in the Element Well studio. We appreciate Lynn Posey, Executive Director for Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, for joining us right here in the Element Well studio, talking about the America 250 bashes. They're going to be having those at 7 of Mississippi's parks this weekend. On the C Spire text line, Dan in Hattiesburg says, my wife and I are going to visit Tishomingo in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to it. It's beautiful, Dan. I'm telling you, Rhino, that Tishomingo and J.P. Coleman, it's just funny how that little area of our state seems to maybe be different than all the rest of the landscape of the state, maybe with the exception of right there on the coast. But it does feel like you're somewhere else. Those lakes, they're absolutely beautiful. So you'll have fun with that, Dan. Move the zoo to LaFleur's Park on the C Spire text line. Man, that's been talked about. As you know, that's a monumental undertaking and an expensive undertaking. It is sad. I have such fond memories of the zoo growing up in West Jackson. Didn't live far from where the zoo is located in Jackson, and used to ride my bike up there, honestly. But it's just like so much else in Jackson, unfortunately. It's just gone downhill, as you know. And I don't know what the fate of it is. I know there used to be, Rhino, a third party, like outside not-for-profit group called Friends of the Zoo that raised money to help the zoo. In fact, they were one of my clients. I literally implemented the accounting system in there 30 years ago. I'm not sure if that's still around or not, but it feels like that's what it needs, that it needs some private investment. But, of course, as you know, folks that make a private investment, they want to make sure their money is spent responsibly and effectively. And it's just a concern when it's kind of under the purview there of the city, which has got so many other issues. I don't know if you guys saw, we certainly did in central Mississippi, murders that occurred, homicides, in the Queen Lane area of West Jackson off Clinton Boulevard. I think 2 20-somethings and a toddler, if I'm not mistaken. And, so the violence continues in the city of Jackson, and the mayor came out and he acknowledges it's a problem, Mayor John Horn, and that something needs to be done. I don't know exactly what to do. It just feels like there's just some people in our state and our country who don't have a very high regard for human life at the end of the day. And you don't fix that with laws. We've already strengthened our laws, as you know, that went into effect yesterday, where you commit these heinous violent crimes as a juvenile, you're getting tried and going to be processed and convicted, sentenced as an adult, right? That we just strengthened those laws. I think that's a good move, because it's crazy when you see sub-18-year-olds out brandishing guns and celebrating this kind of activity, where they snuff out a person's life. But this happened in the Queen Lanes, and it kind of hit home for me. I don't mind telling you, I grew up not far from there. Had a lot of friends that lived in that neighborhood. It was just your sort of typical lower to middle-class neighborhood growing up in the 60s, 70s. Just lots of salt-of-the-earth, God-fearing, hard-working people raising their families. Played ball with them, went to school with them, and all that other sort of stuff. And you see it now. It looks like a third world area, man.
And the sad thing is, there are likely still God-fearing, salt-of-the-earth people living in the area that are terrorized on a daily basis by the heathens that refuse to act right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's 100% right. So they get held back to a great extent. But man, I can't even hardly comprehend how what at one time was just a quiet, typical little lower, like I said, the middle class neighborhood, maybe 1,000 square foot homes with a driveway and a little yard and the cars parked in front. And people got up and went to work every day, went to church on Sunday, did what they could to maintain their properties. They weren't extravagant, but they were neat and clean and well kept. Now, they just throw the garbage out in the dang yards. You got cars on blocks parked in the front yard. It's terrible. And now I'm just reading there's a third suspect arrested here yesterday in a targeted shooting, killed a toddler and 2 women. So who knows what the heck's behind that? There's out in the yard, dead, is where they were discovered by police. So, man, this is sad. We got to do something. It's moral decay to a great extent in our state, in our city, in our country, and it's just in certain limited circles, but it affects, as you say, so many other people. Coming right back with Captain Chris Turnipseed after Fox News and SuperTalk News.
Your home
of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
Welcome to the show that challenges you to think deeply and look beyond political posturing. You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 2 of Middays from the Element Wealth Studio on this Friday Eve. Tomorrow is a day off as well, a Friday Eve. It will be for us. We'll be airing the best of our shows. Right now, however, it's Lieutenant Kervin Stewart. He's the director of Mississippi Highway Patrol Public Affairs Division. Lieutenant, thanks for coming in, sir.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for having me.
You bet. So Captain Turnipseed is happily retired now, right?
Yes, sir, and congratulations to him on that.
Absolutely. Always enjoyed talking to him, but welcome and look forward to talking to you some more. I'm sure we will be.
Yes, sir, and thank you.
So give us an update. We've got a busy travel weekend ahead of us. What can we expect from our Highway Patrol and the roadways across Mississippi?
Well, what you can expect is a stepped-up enforcement because it is a holiday, and it's the 250th anniversary, so we expect a lot more people to be on the highways as they travel to and from their destinations. With that being said, safety is always first and foremost with us. Our focus will be, of course, on seatbelt safety, removing DUI drivers from the roadway, and just making sure you get to and from your destination safely.
Yeah, and something that the captain and I always talked about that always astonished me after a busy weekend, he'd come on and provide a report, was the number of citations issued for failure to have the seatbelts on. It's just incredible.
Well, unfortunately, we are normally in the top 5 of those who don't wear their seatbelts.
Okay,
so,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yes, sir, and we do our best to just, try and get people to wear their seatbelts. And if you don't wear your seatbelt, of course, that's a violation, but also, you never know what may happen. And unless you're super strong, you have just a low speed collision, you could be seriously injured from impacting your vehicle or someone in your vehicle impacting you. So we preach seatbelt safety.
Are you familiar with from MDOT's reports any sort of road closures or issues where we've got limited road use over the weekend?
Yes, sir. We have 3 major areas. One is going to be I-20 in Warren County with the Hines County line.
Yeah.
They're doing that bridge construction project. It's been shut down for over a year, and they have a few more months to complete that project. So there will be some traffic backups, which I did see this morning, so just plan ahead for those. Also, Highway 67 in Harrison County. They're doing a project on I-10, and in Lowndes County on Highway 80, or US 82. They also have a project. Those are our major projects.
Okay. So what's the advice to motorists in those situations, Lieutenant?
Well, the advice is to leave early. Unfortunately, expect to be in traffic, and just be patient because that's pretty much all we can do. the areas where they can open the roadway up, they're going to do that because it's a holiday weekend, and they understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had some business over in Vicksburg a couple of weeks ago for 3 days in a row and noticed that as well. It kind of seems like the timing of when you arrive at those congested areas determines sort of how long the delay is, but not really a big deal overall. And I noticed the bridge under construction, and that's just something that's needed. It takes a while to do that. Yeah, and that's where we are. So stepped up staffing for the busy travel weekend, Lieutenant? Will you have more folks on the roads?
Yes, sir. There will be more folks on the road this weekend as it relates to just what we do. And, of course, being the holiday weekend, we're going to have more troopers working. I won't say voluntarily. They'll be working a little extra. So they'll be out there. On top of that, we just had a class graduate, so there'll be at least 40 more people working this weekend throughout the state.
Well, how are we doing with respect to that, recruiting new folks in to serve in the Mississippi Highway Patrol, become a state trooper?
Well, we're always looking for a few more, men and women to come and serve the state of Mississippi and do their part to help keep the roads safe.
Yeah.
And it's a great career.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So how long have you been with the patrol?
I've been with the patrol for 19 and a half years, and prior to that I was in the Army for 20.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, double appreciation for your service to our country and certainly to our state. So July 4th, is it kind of stand out? And this time it's on a weekend, so we would expect maybe the traffic to be increased, do you think, as a result of it falling on a Saturday like that?
Most definitely. And with Friday, I guess, being a holiday, people some got an early start. Some are just going to leave today, and, they're going to get to where they need to get to safely, hopefully.
Yeah.
And but like you said, with it being on a weekend, no one has to take a day off because they're already off, so that gives them a little more freedom to get out and go do some things.
And, of course, we have lots of travelers that pass through our state as well.
Yes, sir. And those people that travel through the state, we just want them to be safe also and plan ahead and just be patient because we know there are going to be a lot more people on the roadways. And also, with that being said, it's been very hot lately.
Yeah.
So when you travel, if you have a cooler, keep a cooler with you, keep some drinks, some water in there because you never know, you may break down or you get a flat tire or something may happen which may leave you stranded for a temporary time period, and you just want to be able to get some fluids in your body so you don't dehydrate.
I know it goes without saying that it's against the law in the state of Mississippi to be engaged in certain activities on your mobile device while you're driving. But is there something else, anything else I should say, that you want to share with our audience that you guys see and you hear from the field that's causing crashes or problems when people are driving?
Well, like you said, the most distracting device is that cell phone. Beyond the cell phone, people are looking at their GPSs because they're just trying to get to and from their destination. Sure. The other thing, which a lot of people don't know, is their passengers can be a distraction.
Okay.
When you focus on your passengers, whether your kids or brother and sister or whomever it may be, your focus is shifted from driving to paying attention to what they're doing. And we would all like for you to limit your distractions.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense, and we hear so much about crashes that are often caused by just distractions, maybe more than just speeding.
Yes, sir. And we've had simple things you wouldn't think of, like a bumblebee, fly in your car and you start swatting at the bee, and next thing you know you're.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about folks maybe dropping something on their floorboard under them and reaching down and then looking up, boom, they're on something.
Yes, sir. And the same goes like with eating and driving. Like you said, all it takes is a drop fry, and you're trying to find that fry, and next thing you know, boom. Or, fortunately for us, I think one of the greatest inventions are rumble strips. Because there's probably no one that drives that hasn't hit those rumble strips, and it doesn't mean you're not paying attention. It just means you're
wakes you up.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna look up immediately.
Yeah. Oh, I'm somewhere I shouldn't be.
That's a good point.
Yes,
I hadn't thought about that. So you've got that plus the lane dividers as well that also let you know that you're crossing over in the lane there. But
yes,
certainly the rumble strips on the shoulders there. I agree. That's tremendous. And the other thing is the more recent model vehicles, they have the Super Cruises, if they set those, and and they adjust to the distance and the speed to keep the distance from the vehicles in front of them, let you know if you're moving across lanes and stuff. That's helped as well.
They do help, and in some cases, I think people become a little too dependent on them.
Yeah.
Because they'll do things like, let the vehicle drive itself, and that's definitely not safe. But like you said, there are safety features that come along with that, because if you remove your hands from the steering wheel for a short period of time, the vehicle will let you know that you grab the steering wheel.
Yeah, mine does have a Super Cruise feature, but it's got a little camera on the steering column, and your eyes have got to be on the road. You can take your hands off the wheel, but your eyes have got to be on the road.
Okay.
And if you move your eyes for any length of time, very short period of time, it tells you, I'm cutting off the Super Cruise right now, and it starts buzzing at you and shouting out oral instructions, grab the wheel and so forth. But certainly just a good safety feature. I would say the later model cars maybe are a little bit safer overall.
Yes, they are. But like you said, it really comes down to the driver first and foremost. It doesn't matter if you're in a 1990 or 2026. It's still on the driver to be as safe as they can and look out for the other drivers and just be responsible.
When does the next trooper class kick off?
Well, Class 71 is recruiting now, so they are in the process of trying to get more young men and women to come out and join the Mississippi Highway Patrol. So if you know anyone that's interested, just send them our way, and we'll readily accept them.
If they want to find out more about it, Lieutenant, or they want to sign up, how do they go about doing that?
Well, they can go to the recruiting site or talk to a recruiter or any district office in their area or contact the Highway Patrol.
Okay. Just contact the Highway Patrol.
But they're on the website also, so you can check the website and they can contact the recruiter, and someone will get back with them.
I've heard lots of positive feedback. I heard this morning, as a matter of fact, at a breakfast with some friends about how much we've improved the driver's license renewal process. That seems to be something that has been received well by the public. How are we doing there?
I think we're doing a great job, but when it comes to going to the driver's license offices, we try to make it as convenient as possible, and we've modernized the way we do business.
No doubt.
It makes it better for everyone. You can reapply online. If you haven't had a driver's license in 4 years, you can reapply it at the end of that 4 years for another 4 years. After 8 years, of course, you have to come in and take another picture and update your driver's license. So
I think it's working well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming in, Lieutenant. Really do. And, of course, as always, our appreciation to the men and women who serve at Mississippi and the Mississippi Highway Patrol. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. We're coming right back in the Element Wealth studio. Stay with us.
Highway Patrol. My hours are long and my pay is low, but I'll do my best to keep you driving slow. I'm just doing my job on the Highway Patrol. I'm just doing my job on the Highway Patrol.
Hello, I'm okay. Is everybody ready?
I'm ready. Ready here.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Who draws the crowd and plays so loud, baby? It's the guitar man. Who's gonna steal the show? Baby, it's the guitar man. He can make you love, he can make you cry. He will bring you down and he'll get you high. Something keeps him going.
That's Bread. They got another tune. I'll have to put this on the all-hit request line that would be appropriate for today, and that's Freedom, by the way. A lot of folks don't realize that David Gates and Bread recorded that song. It's good. It's a good tune. I'm trying to get the house band to take it up, by the way. Still working on that, but maybe you can dig that up. So I appreciate Lieutenant Kervin Stewart. We learned, guys, that Captain Chris Turnipseed, he was on our schedule here today on our lineup, and I think he retired with a lot of fanfare is what I'd say. Didn't really give anybody a heads up, and that's his prerogative. And Captain, if you're listening, sir, thank you for your service and enjoy your retirement. I always enjoyed visiting with you. Typically after the busy holiday weekends, as you know, Rhino, he'd be out on the roads doing his job, and he would stop, pull over, and he'd call in, get him a good signal somewhere, and call in and give us a report. And we certainly always appreciate that, and we appreciate the state troopers that are going to be out and about this weekend patrolling our roads and keeping us safe. Drive safely, folks. No doubt about it. Please be careful. Going to be a lot of cars on the weekend. Let's have a good, safe, and fun July 4th and celebrate the birth of our country. It's still hanging in there, isn't it? Still doing pretty dang good. And there are some people, sadly, in this country that aren't proud to be Americans and don't like the state of America. They're just permanently aggrieved and I would say oblivious to what they have. Don't even realize, as we've said many times before on the show, it's because of the system that under which this country was founded that you can denounce the country. And the states that have decided not to celebrate the Great American State Fair, you're familiar with that situation, and there are various reasons that they've cited for that. I'm not sure what the bottom line is. But on that, not even going to try to second guess it, but I don't know. You know, they're not compelled to. It's no dictate. There's no mandate. Knock yourself out. I think you're missing out. I'm proud of Mississippi being there. And the Mississippi exhibit, well curated. Even got attention, by the way, on Fox News yesterday. I caught him on the news. The great state of Mississippi and its exhibit got highlighted. So, you know, something else related to this that's pretty cool is that there are some trucks that are celebrating the 250th anniversary called Freedom Trucks that are traveling about the country. And you'll love this one. There's a gift from God message. By the way, Rhino, the trucks are cool, and they open up and they swing open the doors and so forth. They're purpose built to kind of be a rolling exhibit, if you will. And there are big screens on either side when they open up. And so there's a recorded message from President Trump about the 250th anniversary. And then there's an AI-generated message of George Washington. Use data centers to do that, of course. But it's George Washington delivering a message. I kind of want to see this. And he greets the visitors and he proclaims, "Thy rights are a gift from God." And that's beneath the ceiling that's got big words emblazoned that say, "In God we trust." Essentially highlighting our founding, where our founders we know were godly men, and our founding documents are tied to Judeo-Christian principles. So there's idiots out there that are complaining that it's too religious. Can't you find something else to complain about?
No.
It's just unbelievable. So I think it's cool, though, that who's considered the father of our country, George Washington, is reminding people. That's what our founding document says. Unalienable rights. We are endowed with those by our Creator, not a monarchy. That was the point. That's what they were trying to say. Yeah, we're making this country one that is of, by, and for the people, and it starts with the recognition, the declaration of the fact that our rights come from God. And honestly, it's just common sense, isn't it? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. No, man doesn't grant and bestow those rights on you. The person, the being, I should say, who created us did. And that's God. And that's how the country was founded, like it or not, you fools, that, by the way, enjoy those rights. You participate and you engage in them, but you don't recognize from whence they came. It's incredible. So I think this is good. And I think it's just kind of cool that that they've created this AI version of George Washington. That's pretty cool. That is again conveying that message.
They did the same thing at the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library that opened up yesterday with Trump showing up with all the cowboys and stuff. And there's a video of Trump talking to the AI Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I saw kind of a report on that with somebody giving a guided tour, the curator, the museum manager or something, but I didn't see that. So that's neat. That's cool. That's amazing. It really is. Well, I like it. I'm proud of this, and maybe I'll get a chance to see it. It's pretty cool. Of course, the Senate and the House Democrats are questioning whether public funds were diverted to religious displays, because the founder of our country is saying that our rights came from God. That's like a religious display. That's where they missed the boat, do they not? Because
no, they missed the boat that they are not acknowledging their own asinine religion of the LGBTQ ABC whatever religion.
That's true.
The woke religion. I'm pretty sure tax dollars went to buying all the rainbow flags they put up. So that's their religion. If they want to really go down this rabbit hole, get rid of the rainbow flags too.
That's absolutely true. It's a good point that you make there. I've said many times that the Democrats essentially they worship and they genuflect is what I say at the altar of race, climate change, and gender ideology. I mean, those are their gods. It feels like it. Really does. Speaking of that particular subject, I came across this. You know the company Lego, guys that make the blocks that you use to build stuff, and they're I would say somewhat instructive for children. You kind of develops your motor skills and you use your creativity. And if you think that the wokeness of corporations is over, has ended, that we're past, that we're post-woke, the post-woke era, they just posted a video, I'm looking at it, promoting gay marriage and marching in pride parades. And it's Lego figures doing this. And that they have used AI probably to generate this cartoon, if you will. And this is disgusting. I'm going to say again because this is targeted at kids. Why do they insist on thrusting this gender garbage on kids and sexual orientation? On kids. Can we not just let them be kids? That's despicable. It's abhorrent. It's disgusting. And they got
it's a bit ironic because Lego were the people that funded a study, years ago, decades ago now, studying the different styles of play between boys and girls. And they discovered that there's a difference between boys and girls and how they play. That when boys play with toys, they imagine themselves as the toy they're playing with.
Yeah.
Engaged with that. So like if you've got a Batman action figure, they take on the mannerisms of Batman, and they are Batman. Whereas girls try to influence whatever they're playing with to mold around their ideas. So if they have a Batman toy, they're going to have Batman play in the garden or make a cake.
So there's a distinction.
Yeah.
Imagine that. And even Lego admits that, yet they thrust this gender sexual orientation crap down kids' throats with this video. I'm blown away by this. I'm disappointed because I feel like they're taking advantage of children to promote and to advance some sort of crazy political agenda. Coming right back in the Element Wealth studio.
Had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone.
From the SeaBrook now.
Properly set all controls before recording.
All systems go.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
There you go from the All Hit Request line. That's Brett. Is the name of the song Freedom or is it Mother Freedom?
Mother Freedom.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Great tune. Appreciate that, Rhino. So appropriate for this July 4th week, Independence Day. Yeah, on the C Spire text line, you may have mentioned this, not sure, just getting to the radio today, but the peace treaty, this is Dave in Monticello, between Great Britain and the United States after the Revolutionary War, in the first two sentences, it invokes the Holy Trinity. I haven't mentioned that, but I do recall that. You're absolutely right, Dave. That was 1780 something or another, as I recall.
1783.
Okay, there you go. Wasn't it called the Treaty of Paris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I do recall studying that, Dave. Appreciate you pointing that out. Debbie in Hattiesburg says, my son and family just came back from Washington, D.C., and they felt extremely safe with National Guard on every corner. They even talked with them, and everyone was so friendly. Thanks for that report. Good to hear, Debbie. Yeah, I do think that the city has been greatly cleaned up after the president deployed the National Guard. It was a mess. I mean, it was crime-ridden, and there wasn't much interest, honestly, in cleaning up the crime in the city because they didn't like who was being arrested, who was being charged with the crimes, right? It didn't make the numbers look good as far as the distribution by race and so forth. I'm just going to be honest about it. That's the truth. Now, some people say, well, you're being racist, Gerard. No, I'm telling you the facts. We can choose to ignore them and disregard them. Thus, the problem continues and festers.
But numbers and statistics are numbers and statistics.
Correct. And I'm not afraid to point it out. Now, there's some nutcase that's about to be the mayor there, though, right? That's a problem. More than the current nutcase mayor, who actually came around a little bit. And I think at some time even acknowledged, and I don't know if I would take it as far as saying thank the president, but I think acknowledged that the presence of the National Guard did, in fact, improve the safety of the nation's capital. But isn't there some crazy person that just won the nomination?
Yeah, Genesee, whatever her name was.
Yeah, that's it. And
Janice, or I don't know.
Has some crazy views. Where's the one that believes that in certain cases murder can be justified and thus there should be no punishment associated with homicide? That either ran and didn't win or maybe did win somewhere. I want to say Virginia is where that individual was from. That's the kind of crazy radical stuff we have in this country as a result of this proliferation of socialism, what they call democratic socialism. Really, it's a euphemism for communism. That's what they want. But every day you see more of these crazy people. The Democrats are leaning heavy into this and believe that they can win in November with this. I hope not. I am concerned that so many of our young people that are now becoming of age to vote, that they're buying into this stuff. They're being influenced by Marxist professors that dominate the classrooms in America's colleges and universities, and even to some extent down at the secondary school level. It's a problem. Speaking of which, in California, the state Senate Elections Committee voted on a bill to ban those convicted of child molestation, enticing a child to prostitution, or incest and sodomy with a minor from running for office in the state. The committee's chairman, however, cast the deciding vote. A guy named Scott Wiener voted no, killed the bill because he wanted a specific exception allowing convicted pedophiles to still run for the school boards in California. That's right, the school boards. It's okay to have pedophiles serving on school boards. You know, the boards that govern the schools where children attend. It's okay to have a person who has sexually abused children.
Somebody needs to check Scott Wiener's hard drives.
100%. There's also already photos floating around of this nutcase that when you look at him,
it's the same guy that it's the left eating itself. He's not even leftist enough to be welcome at a pride parade. He got ran off at the pride parade.
How come?
Because he's pro-Israel or something.
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. It's amazing how that's sort
He's
of
another perfect example of you can just look at him and tell there's something off.
I totally agree. I'm looking at a picture of him right now with a long-sleeve T-shirt on with the imprinted on it, big block letters, Kamala, and the letters are colored to represent the rainbow flag, the colors of the LGBTQ, with a Kamala. Unbelievable. So we have pedophiles who honestly, in some parts of this country, flaunt the fact that they are a pedophile. And we don't do squat about it. Man, oh man.
To the point that the LGBT, ABCD, AFD, whatever, people have a name for it. MAPS. Minor attracted people.
Oh, my gosh.
Or a minor attracted person.
And you've seen reports of, is it psychiatrists, I believe, that have said, oh, yeah, this is actually a normal sort of deal, and they're trying to normalize it, sanction it. Yeah. Sick. Unbelievable. Looking at a little bit of economic information. We got the jobs report today. Came in lower than expected, as I said earlier. And the markets are not sure what to make of this. What does it mean with respect to the future of interest rates, to the future of the economy? But, you know, we talk sometimes on this program just about opportunities in this country and how I still believe this country affords the greatest opportunities to achieve significant economic affluence, certainly more than any other country. How about this? Over 440,000 people, that's 1,200 a day, became millionaires in the United States in 2025. By the way, that's half of the new millionaires minted last year. Half. It globally rose in 2025, reaching record levels in every market that is tracked by the bank UBS. But I'm looking at a chart of countries with the most millionaires. The United States, 23.6. Next is mainland China. And let's be honest, you know that's contrived and manipulated and distorted. That's just whatever the CCP kind of allows and supports. They have 5.3. How many people are in China? It's 1 billion, isn't it? So they have 5.3 millionaires for their billion, and we have 23.6 for our 350 million. And then Japan's next with 29, or 2.9, pardon me, 2.9, 2.6 in Germany, 2.4 in the UK, 2.4 in France, down the list, 1.2 in Italy. Is that not instructive to some extent?
If you have half a brain.
And, of course, in these other countries, effectively they limit you, is what they do, because they're going to tax the snot out of you. And then they've sort of created, and they may get mad at me for this, I don't care, have they not created kind of a society, a culture that places just, I think, an outsized amount of value on your leisure time? Well, that's fine, except don't complain when other people that don't quite see things that way and live their life differently achieve wealth because they work all the time. It's their choice. Don't complain about that. That's how they did it. You can't do as they do, and I may be exaggerating a bit in France. You can't work 6 months a year and become a millionaire. It's an exaggeration, but it's probably not that far off
Just look at how many Europeans have been here for the entire World Cup.
That's true.
I don't have that many off days.
Coming right back, final segment, hour 2, in the Element Well studio.
Poly Up of Mississippi.
Check it out. Let's do this.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's get on with it.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. We are in the Element Well studio. Are you thinking about or planning for retirement? Do you have a plan? Go to myelementwealth.com or call 601-957-6006 to let Element Wealth help you find your balance between income growth and guarantees. On today's episode of In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, you'll hear an interview with catfish expert Danny O'Burley, who is affectionately referred to as the Catfish King. I may have mispronounced his name. In Mississippi, you can listen to In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar today at 1 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Is it O'Burley? I'm not sure. Oberle, Danny. He is the Catfish King in Mississippi. You know that'll be a good conversation. The Moms for Liberty. This is for my friend, if she's listening, Lindsay Beckham. She is the chairperson of the Moms for Liberty chapter in Madison County. They were rejected from a state fair in Alaska. They were denied after opponents urged the board to reject it, referencing, are you ready for this? The Southern Poverty Law Center's hate group designation. So they made this decision based on a designation by the biggest hate group, peddler of hate in the country, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Incredible. Defending parental rights and standing up for your children is not extremist, said Moms for Liberty founder and CEO Tina Deskovich. Incredible.
Certainly not as extremist as the SPLC director who was shacking up with a avowed KKK member and funneling money to him.
That's right. I'm telling you, they needed that jackpot so they could raise some money. I know it sounds crazy, but organizations like that, some of these other people, if there's an incident involving a white law enforcement officer and a black perpetrator, they're high-fiving. I'm telling you they are.
I mean, if it's any idea of how unserious the SPLC really is, these are the same people that claim putting your index finger and thumb together in what normal, sane people would consider the OK symbol or counting to 3 with your fingers. They say that this right here, I'm going to do it. I'm going to switch over my camera. I'm going to do it on camera so they can get angry at me. You see this right here? This OK symbol, they say this is a hate symbol.
Oh, my God.
That's how stupid these people are.
Yet, the state fair in Alaska, on their advice or their designation here of the Moms for Liberty chapter, says, I'm sorry, you're a hate group. Why do they think Moms for Liberty is a hate group? I know one of the things, that they stand for and they promote is education freedom. They believe in empowering parents to make decisions about their children's education. Is that what they're mad about? And they also...
No, they're just mad that they're conservative.
Oh, I see. So
the SPLC labels anything even remotely conservative as hate.
Unbelievable. They essentially equate conservatism to hate. I got it.
Because they're dumber than a bag of hammers. But they're funded by the dumber than a bag of hammer Democrats.
That's true. On the C Spire text line, I said I thought China's population was 1.4 billion now. So, and
I don't believe it.
I don't know what you can believe about that.
The estimates vary, but their population could be as low as 400, 500 million. They're just lying about it.
I don't doubt it. It's incredible. You know,
it's really hard to have a billion and a half people when the entire western half of the country is a bunch of really impoverished farmers that get to eat meat once a year.
You're right. There's a huge, they talk about in this country, the disparity is nothing compared to there, honestly.
Meanwhile, the people that have worked for the government and taken all the other money from everybody else over there, they get to just go dance in the streets.
So true.
Retire at 50.
So, but there are people in this country that seek to implement that system here.
Because those people are stupid.
One of those is, of course, Democratic Socialist Malat Quiros, who just won her Colorado House primary in what was a shocking result because she defeated a 15-term incumbent. She defeated somebody that's been in the U.S. House longer than she has been alive. Well, she's got a law degree from Notre Dame. She was fired from her law firm for publicly calling them out for not supporting Palestine after October 7th. And at 29 years old, she made $30,000 last year. She's $250,000 in debt, yet she's likely to go serve in Washington in the United States Congress. I'm looking at her official financial disclosure report. She's got $250K in debt. It makes $30,000 a year and a law degree from Notre Dame.
She won't be in debt after about a year in Congress.
Sadly. Fox News, SuperTalk News comes your way next. We're back with you in the Element Wealth studio for the afternoon portion of Middays.
Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 3, the afternoon portion of Middays on this
Friday Eve.
And this is really all messed up because this is kind of like a Friday for me and you because it's the best of on Super Talk Mississippi tomorrow on the shows. We're going to start our Independence Day celebration after the show today, actually, and kick that in full gear. Looking so forward to that. The candidate for U.S. Senate in Mississippi on the Democrat side of the ticket issued a press release that this is, of course, District Attorney Scott Cologne. And it says, a year after Hyde-Smith's billionaire tax break, Mississippi families are paying more at the grocery store and losing the help that kept food on the table. And this, of course, is horse hockey because I don't know what they mean by a billionaire tax break. And, I'm of the opinion there's no such thing as a tax break. That, as I've always said, assumes that all income, all money, all assets, all wealth originate with or produced by government. And whatever you're allowed to keep is out of their altruism, their charity. Nothing could be further from the truth, of course. That's not how it works. People that have achieved significant wealth or even people that haven't, they worked for it. They earned it. And then government gets its part. Sometimes it's too much. But trying to relate extending the Trump tax cuts in from 2017, and they're cuts because they cut the rates in the tax structure relative to what it was before the president was elected in 2016 under the Obama era. And of course, you know what we saw after that? Revenues went up. More flowed into the Treasury. Despite the narrative the Democrats like to use, the reason we're running deficits is because we gave all the tax breaks to the millionaires. No, revenues are up. Unfortunately, our government keeps outspending revenue increases. That's the way they operate in Washington. But to duplicatively relate tax structure to the SNAP program is really kind of shameful, in my view. And with respect to the reforms in the SNAP program, I don't know exactly what they're talking about, because the main reform, as you know, Rhino, there are really two, but the main one is that it extended the age where one must work to qualify for benefits. So it went from 59 to 64. That's the big requirement. Sorry, you want SNAP benefits, you got to work to 64. Now, there were some reforms regarding eligibility to two major provisions. One, you got to check in every 6 months instead of once a year. Two, in those reforms, a little bit of change in the way your household income is net household income is calculated to determine if you qualify. And one of those has to do with your energy bill, your cost of electricity, gas, and so forth. The other now excludes internet. So basically what the SNAP program says now is, okay, we're not going to deduct your internet cost, your monthly payments for your internet service, to determine if your income meets the income eligibility test. So the government's basically saying that's just not a strict requirement. And if it is, you need to figure out a way to pay for it. And the other thing is, as cheap as that is today, really? I mean, most of these people have mobile phones, and that you've typically got some form of mobile access to those that are paying for internet. You know they've got strong mobile service in those areas, certainly if they've got broadband internet available. But
and usually if you're eligible for SNAP, you're eligible for a lower rate for your internet.
That's exactly what they said. Exactly right. So that's why that changed. But the big thing is 59 to 64, and you got to check in twice a year to make sure you're working. You've always had to work. It's work 80 hours a month, be a student, and then or provide community service. One of those three qualifies you for SNAP benefit, and then Medicaid now as well under the Medicaid.
AKA not being a bump on a log.
Correct. So nobody's benefits are getting cut as long as they
aren't a bump on a log.
Right. Can satisfy those fairly straightforward, simple, reasonable requirements. It's just disingenuous to say, oh, no, they got cut because we gave tax breaks to billionaires. I get it, how that may resonate politically, but dare I say, it's a lie. It's just...
Paula Meridian on the C Spire text line said it best. He's either a liar or he's very stupid. Both don't look good for the Democrats.
I agree.
I would argue
Paul.
it's both a liar and very stupid.
I agree. So Paul says, come over in between Forest and Lake, and then south of Hickory, and tell me what kind of a great cell phone service you have. Yeah, I hear you, Paul, but that's that's not the point I'm making here. The point I'm making is that the new rules under SNAP passed under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act a year ago, effective Saturday, simply says when we calculate your income for eligibility, we're not going to subtract the cost you're paying for what is referred to as a persistent internet connection. You've got some sort of, which is super cheap now. When you think about the amount of bandwidth you can get for that particular price, One of our sponsors, C Spire's got fiber all over the place. I mean, it's like $100 for a gig, right? All over Mississippi. Kind of started not far from where they're headquartered here in Ridgeland, and they've expanded that out. And there are lots of other carriers that have broadband as well, both wired and wireless, and it's very inexpensive. And the government's saying we're not going to subtract that to determine if you're eligible. And what these Democrats are saying is, you're kicking off millions. Well, you can just do without internet or figure out some other way to pay for it. You got to eat first. That's more important. So now, what he says, I just don't believe this, Rhino. 400,000 Mississippians are caught that are on SNAP. I do believe that's the number that are on SNAP. They're caught in the fallout, and the state is on the hook for $140 million to keep the program running. They're caught in the fallout, meaning they got to show up twice instead of once. That's right, and can't be bumps on the log, as you said. So it's twice as hard to cheat the system. And with respect to the state being on the hook for the funding, look, I agree with what the Trump administration did here. You and I have talked about it. We talked to the Speaker, Lieutenant Governor, lawmakers about it. And all that means is that by 2028, based on the error rate experienced by the SNAP program, the SNAP program is funded by the federal government but administered at the state level. And the federal government said, you guys are making too many mistakes. And we're incorrectly, wrongly paying out benefits. And that costs taxpayers. That wastes taxpayer money. And you know what? You're going to have to pick up the tab if your error rate is above a certain level. So it is true that here in the state of Mississippi, if we don't clean that up by 2028, and there have been some legislation to that effect, nothing just yet. I believe it will get cleaned up. But that's fine. I'm fine with that. Hey, state of Mississippi, let's clean it up. Our error rate's above 10%. It's in the highest range with respect to the amount the state would have to cough up to cover a percentage of the benefits. So this is the federal government saying, the money just doesn't keep flowing if you keep making freaking mistakes. What's wrong with that? That's pretty reasonable to me. So I don't know what you're saying here, Scott Cologne. You're mad at Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith for voting for this legislation that forces the states to clean up the SNAP program? Because he's just mad that his voters aren't going to be able to cheat the system quite as easily. That's all it is. I got it. Sadly. Man, well, I just wanted the truth to be out there. Simple as that. We're going to take a break right now. Coming right back in the Element Wealth studio.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
It is on
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Okay, this just in. Zoran Mamdani, the communist mayor of New York, he is going to deliver a America 250 speech tomorrow. Oh boy, can't wait for that. And I have changed shirts over the break. What do I got on here, Rhino?
Yeah, if you're not watching on SuperTalk TV, Gerard has changed into a T-shirt. It's a bright blue T-shirt with big block white lettering that says, I heart capitalism.
Yeah, baby. Absolutely. Take that, Zoran, and all you other idiot socialists across this country that the Democrats are leaning heavily into. Have you noticed that for the most part, maybe except for... what the heck's his name up in Pennsylvania?
Fetterman.
Fetterman, yeah. The rest of them won't come out and just not mince words in denouncing these people. Oh, we got to have a big tent. That's what they're saying. We got to have a big tent.
It's amazing. The more Fetterman heals from brain damage, the more sane and conservative he sounds.
That is true. And you start wondering, maybe in that period of time where he quite wasn't right, wasn't up to par, did he kind of lean into the crazy stuff? And now, right, that he's kind of regained his full control of his senses, that he says, these people are crazy. Sure seems like it, doesn't it? Man. So here's another story that just really bothered me. It comes from Pennsylvania, where authorities say a 10-year-old boy is facing charges after stabbing a Dollar Tree employee while attempting to rob the store. 10 years old. Who thinks about robbing and stabbing at 10? Might it be people, young persons, a 10-year-old who is being raised in, living in a family of bad people? A household full of bad people? That's where it comes from. They don't come out of the womb screwed up like that. Something influenced this kid to go stab an adult while committing robbery. I can't comprehend it. Sad. This is sad. This is in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. Absolutely incredible. Man, oh man. The Democrats in Colorado rode a backlash against Washington to victory, as you know, with this crazy person, that Quiros, that they just nominated to be their candidate in the upcoming general election. And they believe, do these Democratic socialists, that they can, it's almost surreal to say this, that they can topple liberals. In other words, the liberals, they're not far enough crazy to the left. They haven't leaned hard enough into communism and Marxism. They're just kind of your garden variety liberal, which means in general that they want higher taxes, they want Medicare for all, they want kind of the laundry list of government programs, and they lean somewhat hard into, of course, the LGBTQ blah, 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 blah community. That's just your standard liberal. But no, these people, they want to confiscate your assets is what they want to do.
It's the difference between being naive and being just flat out evil.
That's exactly right.
Because communism is evil.
100%. And so I'm looking at this Quiros after winning her nomination Tuesday night at a party in Denver, and behind it, a big banner, big board, power to the people. That just reeks of communism right there. It really does. That is a sad deal. You've also got Zoran Mondami. Have you seen this? He's asking folks to set their thermostat to 78. He's talking about the heat wave that is sweeping his hometown of New York City. Set your thermostat on 78.
Is that really his hometown?
No, that's, pardon me, the town that he lives in. You're right. No, it's not his hometown. Wasn't born here. So set your AC to 78, and it has some other advice in there. Turn
off all the lights.
There you go. Just everything else. So, in other words, let's just set the clock back 100 years. Seems to be where he is leaning.
So hop to, comrades, all you worthless communists in New York City. I want to see your posts on social media of your thermostat set to 78.
Incredible.
Get in line.
It's just incredible that's going on in this country. Of course, they're all blaming this country's use of air conditioning for the deaths in Europe caused by the heat wave sweeping the continent. But that's because you're so dang woke that you frown on air conditioning, and you really sort of scolded and admonished anyone that had it.
Well, nobody really wants to talk about the dirty secret of the European heat deaths. The majority of them are elderly people. Who takes the most money out of a socialized healthcare system? Elderly people.
True.
The only way they've been able to stay afloat is they have all their old people die in the heat every year. Because in Europe, on average, they have more heat deaths than America has gun deaths.
That is amazing. When you said that to us yesterday, I believe, and I was flabbergasted by that piece of information. Yeah, but Mondani, he's telling New Yorkers, set your thermostat to 78 degrees there in the midst of a blistering heat wave up there. Turn off your lights, electronics you're not using, and unplug what you can. Oh, okay. No problem. Whilst you are transported around in a big black SUV with the air conditioning blowing. Oh, yes, the old rules for thee, but not for me situation. At it again. This country, by the way, is being called out by many of the other countries and by a lot of people within this country with respect to vacation time. The United States is one of only 9 countries without guaranteed vacation time, paid vacation for workers. Only one of only 9, and the others are kind of small. Sri Lanka, Trinidad, Tobago, there's 6 small island nations. And some of these people are just freaking out over this because 55% of countries guarantee at least 20 days of paid vacation each year. But seriously, though, are there that many employers that don't provide any vacation? Do you know of anybody that gets no paid time off?
Usually it's hourly.
Yeah, maybe
if you're working hourly, you're got about a 50-50 chance of having an employer that's going to give you vacation days.
Okay, all right. But I submit that most of those are certainly, with respect to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, shows those earning minimum wage. This is something we've debunked a million times. The Democrats want you to believe that there are heads of households and breadwinners in households that are earning minimum wage and trying to make ends meet the family of 4. But the data says, no, first, it's about 1.5% of the people in this country that work earn the minimum wage. That's the first thing. The vast majority of them, overwhelmingly, are between 18 and 24. They're generally not heads of households. But that's not what the Democrats want you to believe. Once again, just being deceptive and disingenuous.
It's because they know their voters aren't going to check them on it. They're just going to lap it up like trained seals.
They do. They absolutely do. So, but they're condemning the United States for not having a law that forces paid time off. 83% of the top quarter of wage earners get paid vacation time. But the lowest quarter, only 57% get. Talking about quarter of the wage earners. That's probably consistent with what you were telling us a minute ago. They're probably punching a clock. But how many of those, again, are, at that point in their professional careers where that's, I don't know. I think this is overblown big time. The market speaks, man. And if you don't take care of your people with wages and time off and benefits and just quality of life at work, you're not going to get them. It's a pretty good system. Coming right back in the Element Wealth studio, half an hour of middays remains.
From the SuperTalk. Come on. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
All right, we are back
on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Thomas says we get 7 weeks paid after 25 years. Wow. I'd settle for 2 to 3 and be allowed to save the other 4 to 5. What do you mean save the other 4 to 5? I'm not sure what you mean there, Thomas.
Depends on who you work for. Some people allow you to roll over vacation days. And
I
wind
got you.
up banking a bunch, but a lot don't. A lot have the use it or lose it model.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I mean, so if you ended up with that accumulated, would they, and companies have different policies on this, pay you for that? Some pay you, some you just forego it.
Yeah, I think what Thomas is talking about, with 7 weeks, he'd be cool with just taking 2 or 3 in the year and banking the other 4. And I don't know that this is really available across the board, but I know in some instances, if you have a company that allows you to bank your vacation days and roll it over year to year, where there's no expiration on them, you'll have people that'll work 20, 30, 40 years and roll a week or 2 a year and be able to, quote-unquote, retire half a year early, but they're still technically on the payroll.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. That's very generous of your company, Thomas. 7 weeks. I can't even comprehend that. 7 weeks. You're very fortunate. Very, very generous. Mechanics do not have paid time off. I think that's consistent. That's on the C Spire text line. What Rhino was saying is, typically when you don't have a paid time off component in your employment, it's usually because you're an hourly worker. And I know many mechanics are hourly, work on an hourly basis, although the demand for those skills is significant relative to the supply. Folks I know that work those jobs are pretty well compensated. Let's see what else. Paul Meridian says self-employed, last vacation was 2 years ago. I hear you, Paul. I was as well for 33 years. Never took a vacation of more than 3 days. In the entire 3 days consecutively that I was off, I was on my phone the whole time and had my computer with me. And back in the days before we had cell phones, I remember going on vacation, playing golf, and coming back and dialing into our systems to get my email, and then spending the afternoon responding to emails. But look, I'm not complaining about that. You sign up for that. That's just part of it. And it's just a matter of what sort of lifestyle you want. And the good news is you can kind of choose that. Just don't complain about others. That's the biggest point I'm making, is too many people are obsessed with others and what they have earned or achieved from an economic perspective. They just worry too much about that and are resentful of it often and jealous of it, and they let it get to them. It's like, well, go out and do it yourself then. Nobody's preventing you from doing that.
I think that's the part that gets lost on most of these communists is, in a free capitalistic society, you're not being forced to take that menial job that you hate. You're imposing that restriction on yourself.
Yeah, that's right. It's because you have a choice. I mean, that's the way, to your point, our free market economy works.
You're not being tested when you're 8 years old to see what your aptitudes are, to put you into a funnel to steer you towards whatever profession the communist cabal needs out of you.
Incredible. You're right. On the C Spire text line, this individual says, I was a mechanic, this is from the 662, for 27 years. I got 6 weeks vacation. That's extremely generous. So I'm assuming, though, that you were probably paid a salary and not hourly, because if you're paid hourly, unless they paid you while you took off, whatever your hourly wage was. And of course,
usually if you have paid vacation days and you're working hourly, the vacation day counts as the average of your usual shift. So say you work 7.5 hours a day on average, because you got some days where you're not, and most days you're 8 and that kind of stuff. If you take a paid day off, but you're hourly, they'll pay you your hourly rate for that 7.5 hours that you average.
Okay, I got it. One of the perks, this is William and Brandon, as a state employee, is I have 52 days of PTO, 75 days of paid sick leave. So, really, William, 52 of PTO, and that doesn't include your sick days? So that's amazing. That's 127 days? Jeez. That's very generous. I didn't know that. Let's see what else we have here. Rusty says, I work outside on the ranch. Been doing half days lately. I relish my air when I get home. 72 degrees. Interesting. Yeah, and someone said on the C Spire text line that don't think the black SUV pulls from the grid, putting stress on it, causing a brownout, I think is what they meant to say, which is what New York is famous for in heat waves. Well, I encourage you to think about that a little further. It takes a lot of electricity to manufacture an SUV. It takes a lot of electricity to produce fuel that you run in the SUV, and it takes even more when you got the air conditioning on. So they absolutely are utilizing the grid. Not directly, indirectly. So just think about that as well. The big point, though, about Mondami that I found just a bit ironic is that he's got the window rolled down in the back seat of this elongated black late model SUV with the tinted windows, and he's got his white shirt and tie on, and that's the photo they use while he's got his finger like up in the air. I guess he's talking to people where he's telling them, set your thermostat to 78. That's the only point I was trying to make. While he gets, of course, the escort of being the mayor in a late model SUV with, I'm sure, the air conditioning blowing full blast.
But hypocrisy is nothing new for liberals. Just look at the picture that came out of France where the lady in France was blaming American ACs for the deaths in France over the heat wave. And the picture of her giving the speech about how deadly the heat wave is and how evil Americans are because they have AC. And you look right above her head, and there's a freaking AC unit.
That's true. Paula Meridian says, black SUV, whatever. He's not turning his AC down is the point. I assume you mean that even
Mom Donnie's not cranking down, not turning up the AC in his office.
I think that's probably
not doing it in his house. He's a communist. It's always rules for thee and not for me.
Williams clarified. He said, yes, the 52 days of PTO, 75 days of paid sick leave. He says 14 hours a month of medical and 12 of personal that can roll over indefinitely. Sorry if I led you differently. No problem, William. I was just curious. So you're saying, okay, 26 hours a month is what you get. So that's that's a lot. I'm a little surprised at that. So it turns out to be about 300 hours, according to my math, assuming an 8-hour day. Man. Tim from 662, I retired from MHP and had over 8,000 hours of sick leave and annual leave. And I believe, as I recall, when I was really involved in the PERS dilemma here in the state, that you can actually convert that, right, into time with respect to calculation of your retirement benefits when you have an accumulation of leave.
Call it comp time? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, comp time is a word that is typically used to describe that, to define that. Langston says when you start with the state, you earn 12 PTO hours and 8 sick day hours. Assume that's a month. It changes after 5 years. Okay, I get it. And then, look, we know that the state typically in the public sector, the compensation is usually less for similar work in the private sector, but it's these sort of benefits. I certainly could never do that in my company. I couldn't allow for people to be gone that much. It just wouldn't have worked, especially when you got jobs that are very highly compensated, very specialized, and you don't have like backups for them. You can't just say, well, we're just not going to do that for the next month while you're off. It wouldn't work. You know what I mean. So, but look, it's a trade-off, and I get it. I totally and understand that it just depends on what sort of lifestyle, what's important to you. But the good news is you've got a choice. Now, surprisingly, looking at the jobs report today, again, to reiterate, the creation of new jobs fell well below expectations. 57,000 in the U.S. economy, 110 expected. But all the data indicates there are plenty of jobs available. So, and the unemployment rate stayed level. So you have to keep in mind that there's a correlation but there's not like a direct attached cause and effect. If the jobs created are this, then unemployment should be that. Doesn't work that way because, remember, the unemployment figure takes into consideration those who are actually looking for a job. So if you drop out and you say, I ain't looking anymore, I'm just going to the sidelines, that's not actually included in the unemployment rate. It's supposed to be included in the labor force participation rate. However, I'm convinced that that's just made up. I still have not found anybody who's ever been called by the federal government, hey, are you working or not? Because they say they call 60,000 people a month. That's what they say, nationwide. Find me one person in the state of Mississippi that's ever been called, coming right back.
At Key Constructors,
Mississippi. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
What? This is so awesome.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
That's because it's the final segment. And we're going to take a little time off and be back with you Monday. But once again, back to the C Spire text line. Ray in Long Beach says, we get 5 weeks, paid vacation after 25 years, plus 8 personal days each year. How is anything being done with all that PTO on the C Spire text line? Let's see, what else we got? Sorry.
Kenny in Wayne County has a funny one.
What's he say?
Says, I work for 2 of those mean old billionaires from Mississippi, and I get 3 weeks paid vacation, plus holidays and a Christmas bonus, and I'm paid by the hour.
That's awesome. Appreciate you telling us about that, Kenny. And look, you know the best part about this, everybody's telling us, and I appreciate this. This has been a good discussion. This is neat stuff, is that in this country, we're respecting the right of employers and employees to strike these agreements. And when I spoke Tuesday, I do this sometimes in my speeches. I'll start out with just the declaration Jesus was not a socialist, and there are a couple of parables that I believe prove that. And one of them is, I don't know if you guys are familiar, from the book of Matthew, the parable of the workers in the vineyard. And this vineyard owner would hire people on a daily basis to help out around the vineyard. And it didn't matter if you started in the morning or 2 hours before closing, they all got paid the same. And so the people that worked all day complained about that. And he said that he had the right to pay. You know, don't do it if you don't want to do that. And so the scripture actually defends the right, which is still applies today, where employers and employees can strike these agreements. It is a respectfully made between the parties, no government involved. And I think that's a good thing. But
just look at the arguably more popular parable of the Good Samaritan. Jesus told that parable so people would take responsibility for their fellow man, not so that they would give money to the Romans to take care of it.
100%. Good point. Yeah, there's nothing that says, well, you're not charitable unless you send it to government. But that's what the Democrats want you to believe. You're depriving them of health care. No. And honestly, I'm a big proponent of let's figure out a way the private sector can get more involved in helping those who truly need it, rather than routing it through these grubby hands of government people and these exploded, frauded up bureaucracies. That's not the efficient way to handle that. My employer said he'd pay me weekly, and that's exactly how I got paid. Very weekly, says Ronnie from Ackerman. John in Pontotoc says, between nepotism and extreme generous benefits, there are no pulling back on state retirement. I'm not sure what you mean by that, John. Explain that. Do you know what he's saying there, Rhino? I'm not sure I follow the point. Y'all have a great weekend and stay safe. Catch y'all Monday, says Mose. Appreciate you tuning in as always, Mose. Absolutely. You too, man. Have a good one. So it's been a good discussion, and appreciate all the feedback from folks. It's been good. I continue to be concerned. Oh, somebody said, nice shirt. Appreciate that. Yep, got my I Love Capitalism shirt on. I think that where we stand today is that you got a lot of people, especially young people, that feel like things could be better. And so there's this tendency to think, well, we got to change government to make it better. That's what they don't get. Is that, no, that's not going to solve whatever your respective problems are. Don't
now,
look
you do
to
have
government.
to change the people in the government.
Right.
But the government itself ain't the problem. It's the people elected to serve in government that have their hand in the kitty, they got their eye on a future position, and don't give a rat's rear end about any of the promises they made to get elected. They don't care one iota about their constituents. It's all about their personal gain, their political gain, and how much clout they can chase.
Totally. And I hope you guys will think about this economic system we have in this country. It ain't perfect because we're humans. We understand it won't be perfect. And our founders told us you're going to continuously be pursuing a perfect union. You'll never get it, but you continuously work on it. Have we not improved it since when they founded the place? Heck yeah. How can you say no? Now, some people want to take us down the wrong roads there, and we get off the rails, but it seems like we always get back on. And I feel like we're doing better in that respect. But, man, there's more opportunity than there ever has been. There are lots of things we all look at and say, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be improved. Of course. I agree. So let's
look at one of the highest grossing Hollywood films recently. The star of that film got started streaming video games on Twitch. That's how she was discovered. Never before. Never have you had a generation before this where you could sit in your own house and put a video of yourself onto the internet and be discovered and go work in Hollywood.
That's so true. Well, the week is over for us. The long weekend begins. Folks, go out there and celebrate America. Be grateful for the founding of this nation. Be grateful that we get to live in the greatest place on earth. I couldn't be prouder of the exceptional United States of America. Have a great weekend, and July 4th, stay safe, and God bless.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.